kids.
This is Learning to Dad
I'm the cool dad. That's my thing.
with Tyler Ross.
What I do have are a very particular set of skills.
I'm gonna have fun, and you're gonna have fun.
This is Learning to Dad. I am guest host Caitlin Scott. If you care, I did the cover art for this podcast, and the photo that Tyler ended up choosing was like an outtake. It's Sarah's hand is the one that you see like in the foreground, and that's the lovely woman I'm interviewing right now. It's Tyler's wife, Sarah Ross. And today we're going to be talking about a topic that's really relevant to most women, and definitely me because I'm 5 months pregnant. But we're going to be talking about Sarah's experience with pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum depression as well. But I wanted to start actually with your career. And can you walk me through like what you went to school for, where you went to school, when you met Tyler, when you guys decided to get married, and when you decided to have kids?
Yes. Hi, I'm Sarah. I am the infamous hand in the Learning to Dad.
It's so pretty. I'm so glad he chose that
It
picture.
does look really good. My hand looks awesome in that
It
picture.
was a total accident.
My nails were done. They look so long and skinny.
It's your wedding ring hand?
So in my career, I went to college and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just went to college because that's what you do. Mm-hmm. You go to high school, you apply for colleges, then you go. Went to Longwood University, loved it. And my sophomore year, I went to a psychology class. I thought I wanted to do something with psychology.
I think a lot of girls think they want to do something with I don't know. I did too.
I mean, that's, I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe it kind of sounds easy. And everybody knows what that is.
It's like, I think a lot.
Yeah. I can talk to people. I'll help them with their problems. I don't know. I'll make tons of money. Like, that's what you do. And I had the best, scariest professor. I mean, I only knew him like 5 days because on the like 4th or 5th class that I took, he said, I just want to start this class off saying today's the last day to drop out or of this class or of this major without getting penalized or charged for it. And I just need to be honest with you guys that unless you're willing to put in 15 years of hard, dedicated, expensive work, you're never going to make any money. Like he was like, you may as well be, just do something, like a waitress, retail, like something. He said, that's how much money you're going to make. Oh, and so I was like, all right. So I left. I waited until class was over because I am a people pleaser. But then I left and I sat and I was smoking cigarettes at the time. And I sat with my roommate, Ashby, and we sat outside and I was like, what am I going to do? And it just kind of hit me. I was like, I want to be around kids and I want to be a teacher. It was how people describe an epiphany. That's really kind of what it felt like. Yeah. Like it was like boom. And it felt awesome since I decided since then and love teaching. I can't think of, I had 1 year that a kid tried to stab me multiple times, a first grader. And so that was not a good year.
Multiple times in one session or like throughout the year? He
throughout
attempted multiple times.
Yeah. And it helped. I worked with a lot of great young teachers that, they helped me laugh through it.
Cool.
But that's the only bad experience I've had in 7 years of teaching.
And even then, like, it's just a kid, you know, you can't do too much damage, right?
Well, mine was 6 years old. Yours, I know you, with the older kids, they could get to you.
Yeah. I also, for the audience, I was also a teacher for 5 years between the ages of 25 and 30, taught English. And my active teaching years, like being paid, were some of the best years of my whole life. The experiences leading up to doing it on my own were completely terrifying. And I remember one time I was in a high school class. And
like interning, student teaching, those kind of things. Okay.
And I ended up in a book closet screaming, like not screaming, but like talking to my, well, I'm sure they heard every word I said. And I think I called them assholes at one point, but I was with my mentor person, the person that was kind of like helping, the person that I would ask questions to. She was observing, and we went to the book closet and I was like, why are they such assholes? But after that, the job that I got in Warrenton as a teacher was just like one of the best things that ever happened to me. And I love 7th and 8th grade kids, and people look at me like, really? But they were my group. Like I felt like
Everybody
they had
has
this.
that.
Totally.
You've got a group.
Yeah. I could channel that energy. Yeah. It's not for everyone. Definitely not.
No.
So when did you meet Tyler?
So let's see. I got my first teaching job in Goochland County, the coolest school ever. If anyone from that ever hear this, it was seriously the best. Like Libby, hi. It was the best, one of the best teaching years, probably the top one of my whole life. And also I met Tyler, you know, you fall in love and everything.
How did you guys meet?
So my dad grew up here in Northern Virginia. So my grandmother still lives here. So every holiday we come up here. So I've been here almost every Christmas, Thanksgiving, everything. We also, one of the Ayers family yearly traditions or holidays is Gold Cup, the May Gold Cup here in Fauquier County. And so we go to that every year. Tyler has gone with his friends every year. And we just met like you do. And so we hit it off. I was dating somebody at the time. It was kind of on the way out.
That kind of
like when you're 22 and the
Yeah,
relationships just
totally.
kind of end, which we can get to later. Is like being married is funny that's not an option. It doesn't just, you don't just stop answering your phone.
Well, I'm tired. Are you tired?
Yeah. So, yeah. But Tyler said something, one of the cool, it's got to be in a movie. I want to save it and sell the rights to somebody for a movie and a script he told me, he wrote me a little Facebook message. That's kind of how we communicated in the beginning. And a couple weeks later after meeting him, he wrote me a message and say, hey, we're going to my buddy Brooke Howard's lake house. You know, we do this and that. Please bring a friend. You know, I know you live with a few girls. And he said, but your boyfriend's not invited. And I was like, I thought that was sassy. That was kind of cool.
It was sassy.
I didn't go.
Heartbeat quick, and
I
didn't go.
I didn't go.
Wow.
I was still dating the guy.
That was nice of you.
It was, yeah, I'm such a good person.
You are. You're such a good person.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, Tyler is as good as a person as he seems right off the bat. That was my only inhibition was you can't be this great. You know, like when does the bullshit end? And then where's the real you?
Right.
And that's why I didn't jump right in from the beginning. I think I just thought he was full of it, you know, but
yeah,
he's really not. He's annoyingly that kind of positive and motivated and totally dedicated to my happiness as he seems like he is. I know.
That's awesome.
He really is. It's obnoxious. I mean, I got annoyed with him this morning because he's trying to find us a great house. Like, what the hell's wrong with me?
I get annoyed.
But
I hope my husband doesn't listen to this. When he's like
He will.
trying to cook for me and make me things to eat, which is one of my favorite things to do, is eat.
Okay.
And he wants to know, like, what are you in the mood for? I'm annoyed is too strong a word. It's just like, I can do it, but I really can't.
You really can't make it?
No.
Oh, you don't really know?
I don't really. It's the constantly like looking out for your needs. It's so selfless that it's almost like. But please don't get me wrong. I would not want a thing to change. It makes me very happy, and I feel like I'm bragging talking about it. But that's wonderful. So you guys had the makings of a great marriage.
Yes. We jumped into the whole thing really fast, and I don't regret it because everything I have now is perfect. Ty and I, as you can see from the podcast picture, what is that called? The podcast.
I think it's called cover art.
Cover art. Yeah,
I think.
As you can see by Caitlin's picture on the cover art, we have 2 kids, and they're perfect. Like I'm trying to think of something that's wrong with him. Like, you know, like there's just, they're so perfect. It's ridiculous.
I know. I love that. I feel the same way about
like I'm trying so hard. Like, I don't know.
I have such a crush on myself.
Kind of annoying sometimes. Like she doesn't like stop. I don't know. Like there's just nothing. And so I wouldn't take anything back, but I think that we like boom, boom, boom. I think I was stuck with the traditions of like with the college thing. You graduate high school and then you go to college.
Right.
And then
this is what we do now.
Yeah. And then
I'm following, I'm doing what I think I need to be doing. Yeah. It's almost like I know exactly what you're talking about. And now the kids that I used to teach are going off to college. And when I run into them, I ask them, like, what are you doing? Like, tell me what's your plan? And they're not all doing the traditional thing. And I think that's great because I do think like from the time you were old enough to like even like retain memories, you are told that college is going to be in your future somewhere, and that's what we work toward. But no
Right.
one really talks about career, do they?
Even you saying career, I was like, what do you mean? I really did. I thought, I was like, you mean my job? Like,
That's so funny.
a career is, that
It's
word
like-
was not
Yeah,
part of my
it's like
growing
the
up.
dream, or like the goals stop at college. And I had a similar
Mm-hmm.
situation where I went in going, not sure why I'm here or what I'm going to do with this whole experience. And, it took actually graduating college for me to realize that I wanted to be a teacher. So I had to go back and get a master's. Yeah, like I think you are sort of thrust into this traditional path, and unless you are unless you are not a people pleaser and you think outside the box and you're not afraid to think outside of the box, I think you do just sort of find yourself in this like channel with everyone else, like, oh, this is what I'm doing now. And I think, that lasts until you realize that maybe you want something different, or you become old enough to realize like, oh, maybe that wasn't like what I would have done if I had been
Right.
left to think about it myself. But so how you were in college, you graduated, and how old were you when you started dating Tyler? 20?
I had gotten my new teaching job, but I hadn't started. So what is that, about 22?
Yes, that's
21,
22.
22.
Right.
And we dated for about 3 years and then got married.
Okay. So you were 25.
25, 26 when we got married. And then Grayson came like the next year. Like I was
Okay.
pregnant right after Christmas.
Okay.
And
How
that was, and then Riley,
Yeah, this is the interesting part.
Riley is the product of the
The following
the
New
s-
Year's.
the 6, yeah. So Riley came, our little boy came 6 weeks, or he's
you
the
got-
product of the 6-week appointment where the doctor tells you after giving birth that you can do, you can work out, you can,
Have
you can
sex.
Yes, you can do whatever you want. And he was that. So then he came.
Wait a
he
minute.
came-
Let me just make sure I have this timeline
God,
right.
he came like 10 months after he had Grace. No, God, that doesn't make sense.
Yes,
he
that
was
is
1
right.
year after her.
Oh, okay.
Right? They were both born in September.
Oh, okay. So they're precisely 1 year apart.
Right.
And that's close. If you don't know, that's really close to have
you're not
kids
supposed
together.
to do that. So that actually, what's cool is that actually felt really good. I liked being a little bit different with the traditional stuff because that's not what you do.
No,
like
right.
that's not.
That stands out.
So I felt like that was kind of neat that I did something a little bit different and that he came along.
Yeah.
But I do not recommend it to anybody. I don't think the female brain or body was capable of that at all. Like I know throughout history, it's kind of like
Right.
you're supposed to just pump out babies. Like that's
Right.
what we're physically meant to do.
Right.
But I think
It's not healthy.
No, it's not. Thank you. It's not healthy. Yeah. Like my body, like I went into early labor with Riley. So I was on bed rest. Like I said, he's perfect. I was perfect. I walked away from the hospital 2 days later after he was born. But yeah, I went on bed rest and like my placenta wouldn't come out and I just kind of felt, and then the postpartum, your hormones,
Right.
like just what my body went through that is
When everything
crazy.
when all is well, I feel like the hormones are pretty incredible. And like no one can really explain it to you. And I don't want to fall into the trap of like focusing on the negative of being a pregnant woman and a mother, because honestly, I'm in my second pregnancy, and we were just talking about our kids and how, oh my gosh, like the love that you feels superhuman. You've never loved anyone like you've loved your kids. No sibling, parent, friend, lover, no one comes close to the love that you feel for your kids. And it's a really special honor to have that love and to experience that love in your life. And I think one of the things I kind of wanted to talk about today was the fear that surrounds this whole thing, and like particularly
just parenthood or pregnancy.
both, and especially birth, because I think the negative history that's sort of been passed down, right, from like, think about your mom's story about your birth and friends' stories and grandparents, and it's like everyone talks about it with this certain level of like, please expect to go through a lot of pain, and this is a rite of passage, and it's unavoidable. And doctors certainly are like, it's like a menu of drugs that you get. Like, it's not, oh, we'll do this if, you know, you start to, if you need it, but it's like, what do you want? You want an epidural, you want an induction, you want. So I think the process of birth has been so like interfered with and injected with all this fear that, like, of course, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Of course you're going to be frightened when you start to go into labor. And of course it's going to cause complications when you're frightened, because I'm reading this book, sorry to go on and on, but I'm reading this book about like how the female body works. And like in any situation where you have to perform physically, if you are overcome with fear, you're not going to function. Like your body won't function the way it's supposed to. So the muscles of your uterus, which are supposed to just open up like a flower, and you know, it's supposed to work, and it has worked, but all the interference makes that process of, you know, actually delivering a child really difficult and painful, and it causes issues that you deal with for years after.
Yes.
Right? Would you agree that you didn't just like heal up and you were the same as before?
So physically, I was. I'm trying to. I just read Rachel Hollis's latest book. She's the kind of what would you call her? A
Motivational speaker.
Yeah, she's like a motivational speaker, kind of like, hey girl, just love yourself, get over yourself. You know what I mean, kind of thing, in a good way. And she says, like, try to brag, you know, like it's okay to brag, because it's not actually bragging. It's just saying how it is. And if it's good, that's just the facts, kind of thing. So I'm trying to do that. Physically, my body, are we allowed to say the F word? It just rocked it. My body rocked it.
Yeah.
I left both pregnancies wearing jeans that I'd worn before I was pregnant. During the pregnancy, I think I just gained the weight in my belly.
Yeah.
Like, I worked out. I mean, besides the bed rest thing, I couldn't work out. But I mean, I worked out. I felt good. I don't remember being really depressed. When I was on bed rest, I was just scared shitless the whole time.
Right.
Like, please don't come out. Please don't come out,
Right,
kind of thing.
right.
But but I had a good time. But mentally, I think hormonally, I couldn't handle it. Like, afterwards, it just all kind of plummeted.
Right.
Like,
when did you feel that start to happen?
See, I think just the day of. I think the day that they came out. And I had always looked for one of my best friends, Leanne, who I'll force to listen to this. She had gone through it as well. And her biggest thing was that she didn't feel that connection with the baby. You know, like, she would look at it and just think, like, what is this? Like, like, what is this? And she was like, okay, something's not right. And she went and she got herself help, and she's the best mom ever now. She always was, but she feels that connection with her now 5-year-old. But so I was looking for that, and I was always obsessed with Grayson. I was always obsessed with Riley, like that love that you were talking about. Right. But I hated myself. Like, I didn't connect with Tyler. Like, it was just, I didn't like my life, and there was nothing I could do about it. Like, I hate my house. It was just a hate of everything, not seeing the point to the day, not feeling a connection with anybody except your baby. Like, it was a little bit of the opposite.
That
like,
is
they were my only friend.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
And so, in fact, last night we were at a party, and I was talking to somebody about postpartum, and she said the same thing. She was like, yeah, but I still love my baby. And I was like, please, that's not the only thing.
Right.
It's just if you're not happy with yourself, because life's awesome.
Right.
Like, everybody's lives, I think, can just be awesome. So if you're not liking it and you don't want to do anything about it, that's a problem.
Yeah. So I guess postpartum depression affects different people differently. Did you, like, when you talk about that disconnect, did you almost feel like it was difficult for you to, like, function and do the things, like the tasks that you had to do? Like, did that seem like this insurmountable thing where, like, you're like, I don't even think I can stand up? Or, like, the baby's crying, I'm not sure I can even go get the baby.
I never felt that. I just felt super jealous of everybody. Like, everybody had it better than me. Tyler got to go to work. So
you had, like, hardcore FOMO.
Yes.
Okay.
I had so much. Oh gosh, I would call Ian crying, just saying, you know, I saw that you were out with so-and-so for dinner and like, you know, you put it on Instagram. And I just bawl on the phone with her. And I was like, I just want to move like back home with my mom. And like just that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And she was like, that's not normal. Like you have friends, you have a great life. Like
Right.
something's not processing with you.
Did you have any, I suffered a little bit of depression during my 5th month of my first pregnancy, and
You said that during pregnancy.
it was so weird.
And I didn't know that, but it's hormonal.
Yeah, it was the real deal. And I knew it was because I felt like I was actually, I mean, this is not about me, but I felt like I was actually in a deep, dark hole that just kept getting deeper. And the light was getting further and further away and smaller and
And
smaller.
you were all alone.
And I was all alone.
Did you feel all alone?
All alone. With like self-loathing, terror that like my husband would leave me. I was horrible at my job, that I was a worthless human being with no value to anybody. These were like that was the voice in my head. So I'm curious to know, like, what was the voice in your head saying to you?
That I'd chosen everything wrong for my life. That I like, how did I get here? Like, and I would just think of things in the past, like, why did just everything that had led me up to this moment. Like,
did you kind
I've
of
made all the wrong decisions?
Did you want to start over? Did you want a chance to start over?
I wanted to just grab Tyler and the kids, or just Grayson when it was just her, and I just wanted to move back home. Like I needed a safe space. Like
Right.
I wanted to be back. I'm from Roanoke. I wanted to be back in Roanoke, around my parents, around my friends that I'd known for 20 years. Like that was the only thing that was going to make it better. But it's not like you just got to learn to like
Embrace your reality.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's not always easy to do.
No, and that's also, I don't think, it's also not always the answer. Like sometimes you just need to change it. Like I don't think I should have moved back to Roanoke, but I should have talked to Tyler about my exact feelings. You know, he's amazing at he's never judged me. Like, especially when I was pregnant, or outwardly, he's never told me.
That's
He's
awesome.
never
But that's awesome that you even feel that way.
Yeah. Like, let's say if I was like, you know, I really want a big, like pregnant, you know, I really want a big sip of wine or something. Like, I don't know. What do you think? Like, and he's like, I go for what makes you happy. Like, that's almost his answer to everything. Awesome. Like he never, cause I've heard about, you know, women that their husbands are very controlling about their decisions they're making pregnant, which I am not jealous of that position. Like men who are listening to this, I would always take being pregnant other than watching it just happen in front of you and really having no control over. Right. Maybe that's the.
Are you saying that you empathize with men because it's like
a little bit,
and with and I'm just saying this is sort of like a typical male desire to be helpful or to have some level of control with something that's so new and weird.
Yeah.
To not know what to do to help.
Yeah. Tyler and I fell into a little bit of the 1940s, 1950s. He went to work and I did everything at home. Mm-hmm. And we both, I think, let that happen. I think maybe because it's like the traditional things, like it's just what you're supposed to do. It's what you're supposed to do, right?
Like you're supposed to go to college. You're supposed to, and it felt right. And neither of you had an argument about it. So it just happened.
Exactly. We just never talked about it. And, you know, getting up, I got up every night and fed the baby every night, even when she was all bottles or he was all bottles. Like I would do it because I thought, you know what, he needs sleep. And again, the people pleaser came in me. And I think that's most women. I think we are such people pleasers because that's what we've been. I mean, for hundreds of years, we take care of shit. Like that's just what we do.
Right.
And instead of it being like a badass thing that we run like, what does Beyonce say? We run the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we really honestly do. And I think instead of it becoming this really cool, powerful thing, instead it's, you know,
it's heavy.
Yeah. And it's instead kind of like the sad thing like that we do.
Yeah.
And, you know, so Tyler made all the money and then he would bring it home.
And so much freedom comes with that, making all the money. So much freedom.
That was probably the hardest thing. And I'd love to know how other women and men, whether it's the man staying at home or the woman staying at home, I would love to know how they handle the pride factor. That was a big deal for me, is for him to like hand me money. I just felt that felt like crap. And I don't know why. Like I now see it as Tyler went out to earn this money for us instead of him making this money and then handing me a 20 to go to Target with.
Because it feels a little bit like a stereotype that, in your words, is sad, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that means that she can't. But it's like, but then when women do work, it's not like anything changes for the man. When a mother works, now she's just doing all the things.
Now she's got 2 jobs. I'm feeling that.
Right. Because you're not like cutting back on motherhood. You're still doing motherhood 100% with the exception of maybe some childcare in there. But you still have to be involved in their lives and know what's going on and who their teachers are and what their relationships are like with their friends and, you know, who's growing out of their clothes right now and needs new this, that, and the other. And when am I going to find time to do that while I also have a career that needs my attention? And especially teaching, where now you're a mother to like, God, how many kids?
Because you do, when you love teaching, you do love the kids.
Yeah,
and you genuinely
and you think
care
about them.
Like I get now, maybe this is jumping, but those crappy teachers that you meet along the way.
I know. And you're like, what an asshole.
They're doing it right.
Oh,
like they're coming and they're not really caring. And then they go home and they have energy for their kids. I get it. Like, I think I'm going to be a crappy teacher.
Another epiphany.
I'm going to be a crappy teacher later and see how that works. But, I mean, that's just...
So did you recently go back to teaching? Your kids now, their ages are...
3.5 and 4.5.
Okay.
And they are in preschool here in Warrenton. And I went back as a kindergarten assistant because I thought that the assistant job would take away... It would basically be like a 9 to 5 where I could clock in, clock out, go home. And I could do what I love, then clock out, not do planning, parent-teacher meetings, you know, all the basically all the crap that comes along with being a teacher.
Right.
And it was the time. It was that I go from 8 to 3 that I got home. I don't have energy for the kids. There's no flexibility. The teacher that I work with is amazing. And like if my kids are sick or it's a snow day, she has never given me a hard time about like that's what subs are for. Just you know, it's okay. But that's just not I can't handle that guilt.
Right. You feel like you've made this commitment.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I totally feel that. Because I was a teacher when I was not a mother. So yeah, I mean, you're at it like, you know, balls to the wall. You're waking up early, you're going to bed late, and you can't imagine doing it any other way. And then when you have to do it another way, there's a guilt because you're reducing the energy and time and love you're putting into something that's important to you.
Yeah, so I'm going to stay at home again next year. And Tyler is really relieved because, you know, I'm going to be more relaxed and the house will be taken care of. Like I see now, you know, I really want all the women listening and all the men listening too to know that like, whether you feel like this or you don't, I want you to feel this way because staying at home and instead of how it used to be where I'd be on the couch and Tyler would come home and I'd have one of the babies or both and he'd say, "What'd you do today?" And I was like, "Well, I stayed in my freaking pajamas all day, but I did put the laundry away." You know, like now when he walks in, I'm going to be like, "You know what? I stayed in my PJs all day, but I did the laundry." Like now it's like this pride thing. Yeah. Taking care of a house is hard. It's so hard.
Yeah.
It's a job to be proud of. And so if there are men thinking like, shit, I got home and Stacy just, you know, all she did was the dishes. Like,
no.
Yeah, asshole. She did your dishes. Like, or women.
You have a clean dish to eat dinner off of.
Or the women that felt like or the women that that are staying at home and
feeling bad.
Yeah. One of my girls, Amanda, once said we were kind of both going through like some, oh my God, why, like we had kids and now we're at home. Holy shit. What happened to our lives?
Right.
She did this. It was funny, but it was also sad. She was like, it just feels like my day is breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner, like, and that's what it is. But I don't want, like, taking care of a house is amazing and it's hard.
And it's important. And it's
so important.
What do you have if you don't have a house? What do you have? And both men and women contribute to the having of that house in their own ways. And both ways are equally valid.
I wouldn't want to earn all the money. Would you want to do that?
I've thought about that. And no, it depends on what my job was. If I got to photograph famous people in a portrait studio all day, maybe.
Sure.
Because that's like my dream. But no, I think there's a lot of pressure on men too that maybe they don't talk about, and that's like, you know.
I would love to hear men talk about that.
Can you imagine how Tyler felt when he found out you were pregnant again? And like the enormous pressure.
I don't know. It's funny. I look back at him with such pride that he hid his stress from me when I was on bed rest and we were flipping a house. We owned 2 houses, and the one that we were flipping was not. It was a huge house, and it was way too big, and we just thought we were going to pop in and out of it. But the utilities alone were just extraordinary, because it was a mansion basically,
right?
And we were living in like a fourth of it, and looking back, his beard started to fall out. He had a beard. I loved having a beard, and he had patches.
Oh no.
And I remember asking him about it, like, hey, your beard, and he's allergic to citrus, random side note, and he would tell me like, oh, I think I had an orange. But he told me like later, or he actually was telling a friend, and I kind of overheard. We were at a big dinner table, and I overheard, and he said, yeah, you know, when Sarah was on bed rest, we had those 2 houses, and I was basically just trying to make money. Just, you know, I was so stressed. He was like, I was losing hair. And I just kind of overheard it, and I thought, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm a little embarrassed at both of us that we didn't just sit and talk about it. We didn't have little check-ins with each other.
So is that something?
We never ever did. We never talked about anything.
Why do you think that is?
I think we were both afraid too. I think I'm more of a people pleaser than he is, for sure. He's not afraid to rock the boat a little bit, respectively, but I think he still is a little bit of one, especially when it comes to me. But so we never talked about anything. I never told him like,
talk about your feelings or like, hey, I'm worried or
no. And I think we were just both scared to say things we were feeling because they were scary. Like, Tyler, I'm scared to death our baby inside me might die.
Right.
Or, you know, he was like, I'm scared to death that I can't afford
pay these bills.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, and I wish
those
we
are both
would have.
really intense things that it's like, man, that's why you get married, is to share those kinds of fears and
with
like
somebody.
Yeah.
And I hate that because I
not be
think we
alone.
missed out a little bit on some really cool, some of like one of our years together was not a wash, but we just didn't.
It's almost like it. Like I remember I overheard, I think it was like Tyler said something to somebody, and then they told me that like you guys didn't talk for 2 years.
I did. Yeah. I don't think we did. And it wasn't a hateful way.
No, it was because you were both so consumed with what was going on.
And if we have a third baby, I don't know if that, who knows? God, I don't know.
You don't have to. There's no pressure to have a third baby.
Thank you. But if we do, it's going to be so different. And I think that's, you know, if ever I see those little youngins getting married, all these youths that are getting engaged and things, I try to tell them like, please be okay hurting his feelings, or to him, like, please hurt her feelings. It's okay. Like, she agreed to marry you. Like, she's living in that crappy apartment with you. Like, whatever. Like, you guys like each other. You're not going to scare her away.
You just gave me chills.
And if you do scare them away, then they weren't supposed to be there.
Totally.
Because, like, you can't die and not have been yourself. Like, can you imagine? Like being hit by a bus and then being in the hospital bed and they're like, you know, you got 5 minutes. And then you're like, I have so much to tell you. Like, Tyler, I have so much to tell you. Yeah. I don't like that band. And I don't like green bean. You know, like, I hate your hair like that. I just, that's a big thing lately for me.
Do you think, would you credit your sort of like the strong silence that you guys, or that front you were putting up, did you credit that to just immaturity and youth? And
yes.
Yes,
I do. I do. Yeah. Yuck. I do. I think it was being young.
We were just talking the other day, Sarah and I, about
you and I were.
Yeah. About these girls on Instagram that are just so beautiful, and it just makes you go, ugh, like you look at yourself and then I said, like, for me, selfies are just so painful to post. It's just so, like, it's agony just even thinking about it. But then I said to you, I was like, yeah, but you know what? We're probably so much more confident than they are, really. And you're like, yeah.
Oh, what did you say? You're like, they're probably miserable, right? Or like, whatever.
Or just like, we're just more confident than they are. And I really believe that, like, that thing you said about just telling them the truth and not being afraid to hurt their feelings. My God, that's like the most beautiful piece of marriage advice I've ever heard in my
Gotta be
life.
okay hurting their feelings.
I live by that, and I wasn't even consciously living by that. But like, we have these little. Our fights now are so small and quick, and they're over so quickly, and we move on so quickly because we have made a habit of just being like, no, man, don't talk to me like that. Or, no, I can't, we're not doing it that way. Or we just, nobody just puts their head down and be like, well, I hope that he or she stops doing what they're doing. No, we talk immediately about what our beef is, and God, it's made us respect each other so much more.
That's awesome.
And it's a little uncomfortable, but
it's hard. Like
so
a
worth it.
man and a woman, I think like any two people living together. I've lived with my maid of honor, my best friend, Adrienne. We lived together and it worked, but we had 2 bedrooms. Like maybe the people in the 20s, was it like in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s,
Yes.
they had the
Before
2 little
television.
twin rooms. They had the 2 little twin beds.
yeah.
Well, maybe not that. I think the 2-bedroom thing might help out. But anyways, we worked it out. But just being roommates in general is hard. Being roommates in general. And then you've committed yourself to one person for the rest of your life. Like, it's kind of insane.
It is a little insane, especially when you make that promise and commitment before you are like a self-actualized adult.
Oh my God. Grayson has this body book. It's that somebody got her. It's like my body, when we were flipping through it. And I eventually started to read through it myself. I learned so much about the vagina that I had no idea. The names of things. I've had one for 33 years and I didn't know half that I learned in this toddler's body. Well, it wasn't a toddler book. It was like elementary school,
Did you
just
know
the basic
that
body parts.
We're calling it the wrong thing half the time.
It's not oh, yes.
It's a
All the
vulva.
parts. See?
It's a vulva, guys. It's not a vagina.
Well-
the vagina is a very specific part. The vulva is the part you're probably thinking about right now.
But
But like those are not facts that were given to us, and I think that contributes a lot to.
you know what, actually, our poor health teachers, I guarantee they taught us that in like 7th grade, but we weren't listening.
I was listening.
But listen, here's what, you're such a beautiful nerd. Here is,
I was listening with
cool.
rapt attention.
I was the
have-
ugly cool girl. You're the
That's-
beautiful nerd. I was the ugly cool girl.
That's why I have so much like character and personality now, is because I had to really earn it.
All right. But the brain has not. This
Cut
is what I
all
learned.
that
This
out.
is her. Yeah, and restart. But the brain is not fully developed until you're like it's 20 to 22 years old.
I thought it was even older. I thought it was 25.
That could be when like certain processes finish or like whatever. But holy crap! And I
know.
it's given me a whole new perspective.
Yes.
That when did you and Cole meet? How old were you?
I was 25. He was 21.
That's right. You're the cougar.
Yes. And I remember when I realized that I wanted to marry him, because I had heard that fact somewhere about your brain not fully developing until you're 25. And
So you went and found yourself one that you could mold.
well, I said,
Just
well,
kidding. I'm just kidding.
that's partly true.
You would-
Just
kidding.
I wanted to make sure that like I was the right person for him, and I wanted to make sure that he was 25 by the time we really fully, like, I had a ring on my finger, like, you must be
You're
25.
so aware.
So
God.
aware.
That's really cool.
Well, I just loved him so much, and I knew that, if the roles were reversed and I was like the young one or the one, pre-25, like, let's make sure this is right, and let's make sure this is really what you want, because a young man getting married, I think, is a little more unusual socially than a young woman.
It always makes you cringe a little bit, doesn't it?
Which part?
A super young man getting married.
A little, and I don't know why. Well, yeah, it's because their brains aren't fully developed, and it's like, man, this is a really major decision, and I want to make sure that I know it's right for me. I want to make sure it's right for you.
So cool.
And that was like that was the rule I put down, and it worked out.
And did you say that to him?
I did. Oh yeah.
Cool.
Well, I was in a really bad relationship before Cole, so the promise I made to myself one night during like the agony of breaking up was, whoever I'm with next is going to know exactly how I feel about things all the time.
Awesome.
And I stuck to that with him. And I think him being younger helped me carry that out, because I think there is something about being older that gives you just a little bit of confidence and like, yeah, boy, I've been around. Like, I'm not, if you don't like what I have to say,
that's cool.
It's fine.
It's kind of a maternal.
I never felt maternal toward him, but I did feel like super independent.
Cool.
From day
that's
one.
Awesome.
Like, I never felt like codependent with him. And I think that was good for me.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, it's not about me. I had some like cool questions I wanted to ask you that I've been collecting for months. Just like, because I love interviewing people. The one thing
You're good at it.
I need to work on not talking about myself so much. But
you're interesting.
Thank you. But let's see. I had these questions and one quick thing, real quick. When did you start to feel better? Like, we were talking about postpartum depression. I wanted, just for women that might be going through it or are about to have a child, how did things like right themselves for you and Tyler?
So I give Leanne in Roanoke, Virginia, I give her a ton of credit because she's never been afraid to hurt my feelings. And I think that's why we're such good friends, is she's the one that told me when I'd call her crying, like, this is not normal. Like, that's not a real problem. Like, that, like, you need to take care of this. You need to get,
you shouldn't be complacent with this.
Yes. You can't be complacent with this. And so I went to see a doctor, and here in town, and she did some blood work. And also they give you a little interview on a piece of paper, like a questionnaire, fill in the bubble thing. And it was really eye-opening to me that on the questionnaire, I started to lie. Like, and it was just for me and the doctor, and I lied on it. Like, it was like, it was like if you thought about killing yourself, and that was no. I was like, no, I've never, like, that never really crossed my mind. I think it crossed my mind as much as it does anybody.
Right.
Like, that sounds super morbid, but the thought has crossed everybody's minds before that.
Sure.
Not in an intense way, but just like,
not in a specific way.
Yeah. So, I mean, but things like, God, I can't even remember, but just like, are you generally unhappy? Do you hate the way you look? Do you hate your baby? That was a no. But it just all these questions I started to kind of fib on. And I was like, no, I'm going to be honest. Like, yes, no, I don't like the way I look, or I'm not proud of myself, and all this stuff. And so that was the most, I could have just used that interview for myself to look at it, seeing written down and think like, that is pathetic and that needs to change. But the doctor did blood work, and just looking at my questionnaire, she was like, I think medication could help. And I did try that. It's funny. I would recommend it to anybody because it got me out of the ditch. Like, it squared away my hormones that I felt normal again.
Right.
But getting off of it was really bad. It was really hard. Not really bad. It was really hard. I think I had to try like 3 or 4 times. I've never known what addiction is like. Knock on wood. I've never had a problem with addiction, but I know now why it's so hard for people, because I needed it. I get off of it, and the feelings would come flooding back. Like, I'd wake up and think, like, why did I choose this? Like, why did I choose this life? And
but
things
you
like that.
had the consciousness to be like, oh, I know what this is.
The 3rd time I tried to get off of it, and the freaking difference was Tyler and I talked about it. And I was just really honest. I just talked to him like I would a therapist or a best friend. Like, that's what they are.
That's what they are.
We forget that, you qualify as somebody as a best friend as somebody you feel really comfortable with.
At least in this modern day, I think we can say that they,
yeah.
Like, people say, oh, well, your spouse can't be everything to you. Well, they can be, no, they can't be everything to you.
They can't be your girlfriend.
No.
That's a different relationship.
But they can certainly, for the love of God,
be your best friend.
They can be someone you could tell a lot of things to. Yeah. A lot of your inner stuff. Yeah.
Like Susie and Leanne from Roanoke, like, they're my best friends because I've known them so long, and we're just sisters. But we told each other when we lost our virginity, and like, so like, I tell them everything, and we share toothbrushes when we go on trips, so we're best friends. But you think about, so like, that's what but then you think about your husband, and you're like, we made people together. Like that, we own a house together. Like, that is a best friend.
We sleep side by side every night.
That is a best friend.
Yeah.
And I think that we forget. But yeah, I think that is a fine line. They can't be your girlfriend. And I think that that is something I'd love to talk to men about, is what that's like, you know, to like how they feel like the friendship factor should be between, like, you know, them and their wives. Like, I don't know what I'm getting at, but like
that you have to sort of be you have to be ready to put your judgment aside when someone tells you something vulnerable. Like,
yes,
talking about depression is not easy to talk about. Talking about fears, talking about all these vulnerabilities. I remember feeling like one of my big problems with my depression during my pregnancy was like feeling like, and I don't know if this was perceived or true, but feeling like my husband would judge me for certain things that had happened at work, and like feeling completely crippled, unable to talk to him about it. And I'm like, I'm just gonna,
like the fear of him being like embarrassed for you.
Yes.
Or, you know,
disappointed
like,
in me.
Disappointed, yeah.
Like, what do you mean that happened? How could that have happened? You know? So I remember thinking, I'm just gonna push this down. Like a freaking trash compactor.
Yes.
Just keep it in, push it down. It's gonna
But
go
those
away.
get full.
Oh man, it got full so
No
quick.
matter how, yeah, it gets full.
That's why I use that whole analogy.
You're exactly right. Like, it'll fit for a while.
Yeah. It didn't take long for me to feel like I was completely losing my mind. And as soon as I started talking about it to people, like multiple people, like, it wasn't healing me right away, but I finally, like, I just got down the line, like, mom, mother-in-law, husband, sister-in-law, girlfriends. And then finally I got to these 2 girlfriends, and I told them, like, I'm having major problems. I think I'm depressed. I hate myself. I can't tell Cole this, that, and the other. And I decided to not let any of my shame, like, stay hidden. And I dumped everything on them. And they didn't even know each other. It was hilarious. They just happened to be in the same place at the same time. I'm like,
lucky them.
Kim, this is Lily. Lily, this is Kim, guys.
Lucky
Boom.
them.
And I just completely opened the floodgates. And the next day, the sun was shining in my mind.
You got it out.
I got it out. And
how did they
it's
react?
Like a cancer.
How did they react that helped
Beautifully.
so much?
Just, man, like, zero judgment. That was a great, great feeling, to just be able to tell someone your deepest, darkest awfulness and have their expression not change.
Yes.
And just look at you, like, with just love in their eyes.
Yes.
That was, like, huge.
I think that's what guys need to know. And there's a Parks and Rec episode that we should put the link.
Okay.
I saw you fist bump. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
There's a Parks and Rec episode that there's a little clip in it that I want to, like, put the link to or something on this, if we're allowed to.
Yeah.
But it is the best advice for men that I would ever give. And I don't know why it works. I don't know if it embarrasses me a little bit. This is how the majority of women are. But there's a character that's pregnant and she's just bitching constantly. And it gets worse and worse and worse because her husband just keeps trying to fix it. You know, and saying, like, well, maybe you feel that way because of this. Like, maybe you need this. Like, here, I got you the special water. You know, let's go on a walk. Like, whatever.
And it's adorable and wonderful, and it makes sense. Like,
yes,
let
but
me
she
fix this for you.
keeps getting more pissed. And finally, they get the clip I want to play is his friends confronting him and saying, you need to STF you.
Yeah.
You got to shut up, and you just have to listen. And then
Yeah.
you have to nod your head and be like, ugh, that sucks.
Yes, that must be terrible.
And I showed that clip. Tyler and I had kind of an argument and about, you know, when we would talk about things, and I ended up hurting his feelings, trying to talk about my feelings, and it was just a mess. And I sent that clip to him, and I don't know if it necessarily helped him, but it helped me realize what we need. Like, we don't need someone to fix it. We are awesome. Like, girls, we really can't fix the majority of stuff.
And wouldn't you say that most of the time we already know how to fix it?
We already know.
It's not that we need you to tell us. And I think when a guy tries to tell you how to fix something, you're like, yeah, no shit. I know that. I'm telling you this.
I need to be pissed off.
Right. Because I have all these insane emotions that, like, if I keep them in, the top of my head's going to blow off. So I need to tell them to you. And I just need you to go, man, there's 2 very funny supporting examples of what you just said about, you know, the guys being like, don't try to fix it. There's a Chris Rock skit, and the bit is that, you know, when you're married to someone, you've heard them say everything. You know everything they're going to say. You know what they're going to say before they say it. And one of the things that guys need to know is that when your wife or your significant other is bitching about something, talking about something, all you have to say is, what it was so funny. God, of course, now I forget the punchline, but it was like, man, I told you she was a bitch. and that you're just like validated. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, it's like, seriously, that brings you closer together than trying to tell her, like, here's a step-by-step guide of how to manage your emotions around this person. No, all you have to do is agree with me and agree that this really sucks, and we're going to be so much closer if you do.
I know a lot of women are shaking their heads right now.
Yeah. Just agree with me and just be like, man, I knew she was a bitch.
I knew she was a bitch. But seriously, I mean, I don't even know who to...
Did your heart just lift up a little bit?
I'm trying to think of a bitch I know, and now I feel better already.
It's great. And then the other little bit is a YouTube clip of this woman just talking about this horrible pain that she's going through, and it just like her head just feels like it's just throbbing and throbbing, and then the camera pans out and there's a nail sticking out of her head, and the guy's like, I think all you have to do is take the nail out of your head. And she's like, are you even listening to me? So it's not about the nail.
No.
Which kind of makes us look insane that like we have this nail in our head and all we want to talk about is how awful it is, but we don't tell us to take it out. Maybe there's something wrong with us too. I don't know. But yeah, that's excellent advice.
I think that there is. I think women, we were created with just crazy heads. Like my dad says, bitches be crazy. Because we really are. And I think it's just how we can handle it. I think that we're insane. I think women are nutty. Like you see a man who went on like a murder spree and you're like, oh my God, he must have like what an insane, scary person. Like, how did he get that low? Like what happened? And then you see a woman that went on a murder spree and you're like, God, like it's just it's like a different, like, she just had she must have like been a little hormonal and she was probably hungry, we are insane.
I'm always like, what did he
that.
do? Like if a woman does something insane, like what did her husband do to make her do that? Like, yeah.
Or not do. What did he not do?
Yeah, our brains are different. I mean,
and I think it's how we're able to roll with it that makes the strong women. And so I'm trying to teach myself just to roll with it. And
I love getting older. Do you? I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some things I don't know. A little bit sad, but some of it is awesome.
The only part that bothers me is the skin. I don't like the wrinkly, not glowing skin. And I notice it about younger women now.
Because it's a dead giveaway, someone's age.
It is. And you can kind of do something about it. You would have to be a prude about life. You couldn't go in the sun. You couldn't drink alcohol. You couldn't be around any type of smoke.
So not enjoy yourself at all.
You couldn't eat like freaking preservatives. Like you would really have to live.
You'd have to sleep most of the time.
You would have, yes. Yeah. You would have to
face down in Vaseline,
water IV. Right. Yes, with a little straw
for breathing.
In your mouth or everything. And then what's
I keep thinking about buying a silk pillowcase, and I'm just like, nah.
Oh, for your hair?
For my face, just like because I sleep on my side.
I thought it was for hair, not to get tangly.
I think it helps with hair, but I've also read that for skin, it's just that I'm just like that seems like one step beyond what I'm willing to do to keep my skin looking nice.
Don't do that yet. You're fine.
But the wisdom that comes with age has been like incredibly freeing.
You're really wise.
Oh, stop. I think we all get wiser, right? Because you just sort of are like, oh, I'm not going to do that shit anymore. This feels better.
This feels better.
That's how I'm always like, what feels better? This feels better.
So here's something that it's my new little goal to figure out in my head is the whole gas mask scenario or analogy of, in a plane, always put your gas mask on. Or in life, put your gas mask on before anyone else's. Mm-hmm. Fill your vase or fill your cup before you fill other people's. And that way you are full to help others. But so I think it's a woman thing to think like, I can hold my breath for one more second. Just let me put this one more gas. Like, let me put the gas mask on. I can hold my breath for 5 more seconds. Yeah. I can hold it for 5 more minutes. Like,
yeah.
And so, and it's hard not to feel selfish or like, So today Tyler and I went and looked at a house. We were always looking at houses.
That's exciting.
Yeah, well, we always are.
No.
So I forget to be excited and interested. So sounds like sex life. I have to remember to be excited. And so, so we go and look at these houses. We looked at one today, and Tyler's dying to have land, to have a creek, and have, dirt under his toes and everything.
That, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I know that that's something that he wants. And we were out there, and this place was, almost half an hour from our house if you could drive at a good pace the whole time, didn't get behind a tractor or something. Mm-hmm. And, we were talking about on the way home, and I'm trying not to be that people pleaser because I don't think that pleases anybody. I think at the end of the day, nobody's happy. Nobody knows you, and you feel like shit because you basically lied all day.
Right. You're a shell.
Yes. And so we were talking about it, and I said, I don't want to be that far away from people. Like, especially girlfriends are such a big part of my life that now that I have these great ones, and I'm comfortable, and I like this little nest that we're in. I'm scared to mess that up. Like the postpartum thing, I now truly feel like it's behind me. Mm-hmm. I'm off medication. Like I'm scared to rock the boat with that and to change lifestyles. And it sucked because I could tell and he told me that he was really disappointed. He was like, okay, like, yeah, I'm just disappointed that's not what you want right now. And he wasn't a jerk about it. That's just what he said. And I could tell he was bummed. And I had to literally bite my tongue not to be like, let's just move there.
Right. To take it all back.
So it's like I put my gas mask on, and it kind of feels shitty sometimes. But
maybe with practice it won't.
Yeah. And I mean, we have, I like our house now, and we have a good life. It's just, what is that line between like taking care of yourself so that others are happy? Like the whole, if mommy ain't happy, nobody's happy is true. Because like I said, we're crazy and we make it known when we're not happy.
Well, the problem is, see, here's the problem with being a woman that doesn't put her gas mask on, doesn't speak her mind and say how she feels about things, and, speak up and put her voice out into the room, right? And like, listen to me, look at me, right? Mm-hmm. When you don't do that long enough, the crazy accumulates and you can reach a breaking point that is really damaging to yourself and to everyone else. I mean, men certainly typically don't have this problem of, maybe I shouldn't say that, and like, are you really hurting anyone by speaking your truth and by saying, you know what, I don't think that's going to be a great decision for me? You're actually preventing a lot of hurt. So it might be uncomfortable in that moment. It's like, oh, I think I just disappointed him. But ultimately now you don't have to be disappointed in the long run, for the long term.
I think about that. I visualized us out there, and Tyler doesn't want a sad wife.
He doesn't. No, and you'll find
line?
I think you got to realize that you're going to find something that works for both of you, because that thing exists. It's out there. And you're going to find something that works for both of you. And then, oh my God, how great that you don't have to suffer living somewhere where you're not happy. It's not like conducive to your personal needs. You're allowed to have needs.
And that's tricky about being married, is the just where to live in general.
Yes.
I have friends that live, all around the country that one spouse just doesn't like it.
Yeah.
And I just wonder.
I know that a lot of people live in two different states because they each are like, this is my job, this is where I want to live. This is my job, this is where I want to be. Mm-hmm. And they decide to stay together, but they're not really together. That is like incredibly common these days.
It's okay for it to be really hard.
I think the answer is different for every couple. And as long as you keep talking and you're going to find something that works for both of you. It's just a constant compromise. Mm-hmm. But I think the line is where it starts to affect maybe your mental health. Like if you lived somewhere far away from people and isolated, like that word isolation, you're like, nope, that's on my no list. I can't have that. So yeah, like being self-aware and talking, and you'll find a compromise where you're both happy.
And you got to be yourself.
Or mostly happy.
You got to be yourself.
Hell yeah.
My girl Erin, who I'll also make listen to this, she told me awesome advice. We were just kind of talking. Her and I are both, we love people and we love making sure that other people are happy. and we're both a little bit of a chameleon in groups of people. Like we're going to form to what that group of people.
Oh, this is a loud
looking
group, so I'm
for.
going to be loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a quiet group.
Like, these girls are really polite. They're quiet. They're all probably virgins, so I'm not going to talk about it.
And so I'm going to keep my mouth shut. And she said something really cool that I remind myself. I've even put on one of those little boards like that, you know, if you're a girl, you have to have, or you're a loser. The velvet boards with the plastic letters.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, they're all over. Yeah, you have one. 'Cause you're cool.
I do.
And I put it, but she said, she was like, you've got to be yourself or nobody knows you. Then
It's
how
so
sad
basic.
would that be?
Well, but
for
it's
nobody
so
to
basic.
actually know you.
But our behaviors are so like conditioned in this crazy way to like bend over backwards to make people happy that you do start to forget like
or get
basic
approval.
basic truths like that. Okay, well now nobody knows you.
It's really hard for someone not to like you. But
I feel like I know you.
no, yeah, you do. I feel good.
You don't feel like you have to be different around me, right?
No, not you.
Because you
I really don't.
You make me laugh.
You make me laugh.
You make me laugh. You're so much
Well, and you
fun.
talked about your nipples within like 5 seconds of us meeting, and so I felt like, all right, we're under the clothes already. But I did. But I mean that is a joke. But also,
I
you
forgot
were
that I did
open.
that.
You were open, and so like, it's not.
It's more fun to be open.
It's really easy to be yourself.
Because then you
around
just weed
people
out
like
the
you.
people that you don't really want to be around anyway. That's how I feel. And I
Yes.
man, I think I take after my mother. I am not a people pleaser. I made a commitment, so I'm going to do this for this person because I said I would. So I'm not. I'm not a
I think
dick.
that's being a good human.
Right. But I am not like, man, if I did that, it would really ruin my day or make me uncomfortable, but it would make them happy. Not going to do it because I just don't enjoy pleasing people in that way. It takes so much out of me, and I enjoy pleasing myself. And I've been so much happier since I decided to do that. And I'm surrounded by people and interact with people by choice.
I think that's why people are happy around you. It's easy to be happy around a happy person.
Because I love who I'm talking to. I love the people that I've
Exactly.
decided to keep in my life. And I don't miss the people that I decided to kick out of my life.
Yeah, you probably don't even remember.
Nope.
You might remember a couple that might have burned you, but that's the only reason. You know, they might have left little scars or something.
Yeah.
But besides that, it's like...
Right. And I'm really glad I don't have to talk to them anymore. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you could pick someone's mind to read in your house, whose mind would you want to be
out
able
of the
to
four
read?
of us?
Yeah. Or the three, the kids and dad.
Sweet Ties. I'd want to read Ties. I think he is straight out of like a romance novel or... So I don't know about... So Jessica and Kayla, my Outlander girls. Anybody who watches Outlander. Mm-hmm. Tyler is Jamie, where he is just... Tyler's genuine
Pure
goal
gold.
is to just make sure that I'm happy. Like it took me a lot... Like it took a few years... Actually, God, it took me like 8 years to realize that it wasn't just something he said or like, no, I want you to be happy. Like that is his freaking goal. And it's beautiful, but it's also like I told him today, I was like... Please be sure to make yourself happy too. Like, I can take care of myself. I need you too, but
Right.
I can take care of myself. Like, please don't be afraid to hurt my feelings. You know what I mean? I need to actually say those exact words to him. And I think women all need to say that to their husbands maybe.
Yeah.
And vice versa is like, I would want to pick his brain to be like, are you really
Feeling
okay
this way.
watching 4 seasons of Outlander and drinking Chardonnay? Like, do you actually want to do
God,
that?
that's a good man.
Like, do you, like, do you, like, it's,
And if you don't, I'll just do it by myself. It's fine.
yeah. And like, do you want, like, I know he doesn't want the dog. He's not, but like, do you really want to is this really the life that you want? Because he would
not want to know that.
would do anything for you, but I kind of do. Like, it's okay to be scared of something that they want that you don't want.
Yeah.
But I would love to actually read his mind. I think I know most of the time, but I think I would want to read his. And my dog. I love my dog.
I knew you were going to say your dog.
I love my dog.
There would be like 3 or 4 thoughts rolling around probably
Yeah.
in the dog's head,
Mommy.
and they'd all be very sweet.
Mommy.
What do you think about when you're bored and your mind is free to wander? Like, what buzzes in the periphery of your thoughts? What do you love to think about when you have nothing else to think about? What interests you? Where do you find yourself going when like you have a second to breathe?
I always, when I have a second, I think about what I would do with my free time. And then it's kind of funny because I use my free time.
And then your free time's up.
Like, I fantasize about like having the house to myself, to like fold laundry and drink wine by myself and watch, watch Outlanders. Watch out. But
Is there a new season out right now or something?
I'm only on season 3. So don't ruin it. Don't say anything.
Did you read the book?
Yeah.
So good.
Just Scottish passion.
So good.
But yeah, I think I tend to think, just kind of daydream about things that would make me really happy instead of just going and doing them. So I need to do that. And I think about my kids a ton. I worry. I mean,
oh my God.
#mom.
I don't think we can ever change that. I don't think we can ever
There
change
will always be something to worry about.
Yes.
So I think I worry. I think I need to worry less. What about you? What's in your peripherals?
Well, like when I'm alone and I don't have anything that I have to be doing, which I know is going to be a total like fantasy once I have a second child, I will not have free time the way I have it now.
Don't say that.
Well, maybe not for a while. Maybe not for the first year or so.
No, don't say that. I think you should just do what you want to do and ask for help.
Yeah.
Say, hey, watch this baby.
I'm like fascinated by like design, and now that we are building a new house, I'm like even more kind of obsessed with it, and I love beautiful things. And I like every time I walk into a room, not every time, I either really admire what I'm looking at or I redesign it in my head. Change the wall color, change the carpet, change the furniture. It's weird.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what you do in your head?
It's an utter fantasy. Like, I think the
Cool.
reality is probably way harder than that, and working with people would be really unpleasant most of the time, and it's expensive, and you make a lot of mistakes, and it's a career that, like, at this point, I think I'm probably not destined for.
You know what? But you just decided that. You totally made that sound like a bummer.
I did, but I did choose a career that does fulfill me deeply, and that's photography, and that brings it brings the same level of like excitement in my body to do that. So I feel what's the word? Like fulfilled.
Satisfied.
Thank you. Fulfilled.
Satisfied's a good one too.
Yeah. But that's sort of like my fun, like hobby is looking at that kind of stuff and learning about it. It's just so interesting. My grandmother,
Cool.
mother, and great grandfather were all designers.
So see, it's in you. There's something in you that clicks towards that.
I grew up in my grandmother's like design store. So like
see, it's in you.
Yeah, it feels cool, and I love it, and it's just like a little part of myself that I like having, like it's my alone thing that I do. But yeah. What do you think you're really good at when it comes to parenting and when it comes to being a wife?
Being a mom, I think somebody told me a few years ago that I was too nice to my kids. And it's like, no, I'm fucking not. I'm not a pushover. Maybe, I mean, not as much as a push. I think I genuinely like my kids.
And you like being nice to them.
I like being nice to them. And I like telling Grayson that she's the most beautiful girl that I've ever seen in my life. And that Riley is, the smartest, cutest boy in the whole world. And I might be enforcing some gender stereotypes, but I think I'm really good at just over loving them a little bit. And anybody that judges that, like, fine, go home and slap your kid again, but I'm not going to do that. Actually, Don't do that. Yeah. I don't want you to do that. But I'm not,
I love how you just were like, nope. I mean, you just let that roll right off your back.
But it bothered me. I was like not nice to my kids for like a week after that. But what the hell is wrong with me? But I think I'm really nice to my kids. As a wife, I think I am working on that. And that's one thing I really can't think of something I'm good at, which I'm going to work on. Like, I don't think.
Ask Tyler today.
Okay.
You should ask him. It'd be a fun conversation to have.
Because I want to be a good wife. I think I'm a pain in the ass, but I think
It
it's
must be
turning
doing
into a healthy
something
pain in the ass.
Right.
Like
you must
that
be
I'm
doing
just
something very
honest.
well for him to make your happiness his priority. I think that in and of itself shows me that you're a great partner that he doesn't want to lose.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. He is exactly what he seems like in all of his workout videos and all his happy little posts. Like, that's really how he feels, people. And it is that obnoxious. It's really, that is really him.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I want men and women, or women and women, men and men, whoever is out there together, like, please, like, hurt each other's feelings respectively.
For
like,
the greater good.
Be your total self. And if you're scared that if you say a certain thing or act a certain way that's yourself, that they're going to leave, then they should.
Right.
You know, because
right.
it shouldn't, like, just your life shouldn't be like that. And so be happy and be yourself. And you can be happy and talk to people if you feel sad.
I would agree with that 100%.
Postpartum's no joke. Oh, my favorite thing about postpartum is that please remember, women, that it's something physically wrong with you. It is not that you couldn't handle it, or that you are not a good mom and you weren't that you weren't meant for it, or you forgot to read the books, or that you're just too tired, or you're not a good wife, or you're not in shape enough to do it, or you're not pretty enough to do it. Like, the sadness that it seems like generally starts to just become with after you have a baby, it is physically wrong with your brain. It's not
that can be fixed.
Yes, it's something wrong. It's like a broken arm. It's not that.
Right.
It's the exact.
Nothing you should try to hide. Would you ever try to hide a broken arm?
No, exactly.
Never. You go get help for it.
Exactly. So please treat it like that, because that's what it is. It's not that you can't handle it.
Right.
It's that you physically can't, and
right.
you have no control over that.
Right. And you shouldn't have to live with it.
Yeah.
And there are people out there to help you.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Thank you for a beautiful interview.
I
knew it was going to be good.
Thank you.
That felt really nice and natural.
Yeah. Learning to Dad with Caitlin and Sarah.
Yeah. Hopefully more interviews with women to come.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Peace out.
Bye.